Well, to kick this off, I'll pose a couple questions here. What prompted you to pursue candidacy?
What, 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago or so. I started getting kind of interested in the notion. I play chess, smoke cigars with Assistant Chief Odell. He lives fairly close by, so he pops by every now and again. Keeps me kind of on the pulse of what's going on, at least with the city and the police department. So I got to go through or hear about all the stuff that was going on with the old chief, which was no bueno, nothing confidential, mind you, just all the stuff that was public, but from his perspective. And it's like, I don't understand why this is happening. And yeah, so we kind of got some banter back and forth, and it wasn't like the commission was a problem, but he was like, I got to go to the commission, I've got to do this, and so that started keying me up into, well, what is the commission? What's the role of the commission? How are they doing stuff? So then I started watching a few meetings, and was, normally everything's pretty to do, pretty hunky dory, but every now and again I got the feeling that there was some personal agendas being thrown in there, and I didn't really like the way that sat. So, still watching them, doing the whole nine. Then, in my role now, I got into project management. Now, I've been a system engineer, I've been a deployment engineer, and then finally I got into project management. And when I got into that, I started to wonder why we weren't, or sometimes the commission was not approaching things from a project management perspective.
Preaching to the choir.
Be that primarily due to the research first, prepare for all landmines along the way, and have something as a contingency, at least one level of contingency. And most importantly, at least for me, is the stakeholders who be that the upper echelon of my company, the customer, whoever that is, the stakeholders constantly stay informed. And I felt like there was a bit of a disconnect in terms of how that was being done, or at least how it was being presented in the commission meetings. So once I got into project management, I put my application in for the position that obviously Commissioner Gutierrez got a hold of, which I think Gutierrez has been doing some good stuff.
Certainly.
And didn't get that. I said, well, I'm probably still going to file. Still filed. I think it was the third. I know you were the first, but I think it was the third. And yeah, I don't know. This is going to sound weird coming from a candidate for commissioner. I don't know if I'll be a good commissioner. But I think I will, or I think I would. And not from the perspective of anything, not from I'm a staunch Republican, I'm a staunch Democrat, or I'm a libertarian, or I'm a constitutionalist, or whatever, but just from the perspective of a lot of this stuff does not seem complex. It's where is the money going, how much does it cost, and why are things taking so long, or why are we spending money in these weird directions? I figure if I can even answer, 10% of those questions in addition to whatever is being answered now, I figure that'd be a good starting place. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, certainly. What you've said certainly resonates with me. Again, I work professionally in project management, and that is ultimately the skill set, passions aside, that I hope to apply to this field. Much like you said, it's all about hearing our stakeholders, which is the constituents, the citizens, understanding what's our priorities, what is this dependent on, what's blocking it from happening, how do we make sure that we stay on the timeline, because even in the city there's a lot of deadlines for things, and along the way create visibility, keep them informed, engage the conversation, and beyond that too, you also spoke to a nonpartisan experience, which I can appreciate, because the city commission is meant to be a nonpartisan role. Now, you may remember when we filled out our paperwork, you are offered the opportunity to delegate a party, but I also chose not to because
I can't remember if I did. I think I did.
Perhaps
because I'm registered. I'm registered as a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
I really, the second you register, I feel like it allies you with the extremist of that organization. So as soon as somebody says I'm a registered Democrat, it's like, well, how registered? You know what I mean? Like, are you all the way on like the extreme left? Are you somewhere in the middle? And I don't see myself as an extreme Republican. I don't see myself as far right. I feel like I have a little bit more of the small government role in me, that the government is not there to provide.
Agreed.
The government is not there to raise. The government is not there to be the eternal crutch. I understand getting a leg up. I understand people needing assistance from time to time. But yeah, so as an example, even though this has nothing to do with city commissions, right? Staunch Second Amendment person. You know, the joke is I just want gay people to be able to smoke marijuana and buy guns. Oh, and get married. That's right. Yeah, sorry. I think that's the meme.
Are you sure you're not a libertarian?
I probably am. But at the same time, so at the same, very staunch Second Amendment rights activist.
And again, I think that also mirrors a lot of my perspective about the government. Unless you're hurting someone and impacting someone's life, we should leave you alone. Which, to a degree, is also why I am pro-chickens, is because, so we have 22,000 citizens in Junction City. I believe if we open up the ordinance for chickens, maybe, well, let me dial back. We have about 22,000 citizens, but we have 9,100 households.
Okay.
Of those 91 households, maybe 100 of them at most will get chickens. Let's say 100 to make it easy for analysis. So, let's say of the 9,100 households, only 100 of them get chickens. Maybe upwards of 5, maybe 10 if we're really feeling spicy that year, will run into some sort of issue. My neighbor's dog ate my chicken. My neighbor's chickens are crapping all over my property. You know, now, those are valid experiences that we should anticipate and speak to, but should these 5 to 10 poorly experiences out of 9,100 households restrict 9,100 households?
So to that point, the conversation that I had with the meet and greet, spoke with somebody who asked me about chickens. I said, to be quite honest, the way, kind of to your point, that only a few households would do it. I said, moreover, I don't think people really quite understand the labor intensity of having chickens.
Yes.
How expensive it is. It's not just you get a couple chickens and all of a sudden, boom, you get eggs for life.
Thank you.
There's also high risk, coyotes are out here and all that jazz. But as we were talking, as I was talking to this nice lady, I was kind of telling her, I don't see a reason to stop it, and she goes, there are so many. I don't say I mirror the person I'm speaking to I always agree with you, but she was like, oh, you would be for it? I'm like, I don't see a net negative.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, I do. And she laid out all of these net negatives, which I can respect. And I can be like, no problem, I can take that information in. I can make a decision based on that. And she said, well, what I would urge you to do is make a decision based on the people that speak to you. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, you are going to find Facebook filled with people that want chickens. None of them show up to the city commission meetings. However, me and all these other people that are staunchly against chickens, we do show up to the city commission meetings. And she was like, well, I kind of want your take on that. I was like, well, here's the thing. I can use Facebook mentality, forum posts, whatever you want to call them, as kind of maybe a guide or a metric of the populace, which direction the populace wants. But the populace saying, we really want chickens, is not showing up and requesting of the commission, we really want chickens. So I said, look, if I had a massive thing come through on Facebook, just Facebook posts, right, on, I don't know, something on J.C. Way that was like, what do you feel about chickens? And boom, it's all, we want chicken, we want chicken, we want chicken. I can take that information, I can log it in the back of my head. But when it comes to the meeting, we may put out something that says, hey, we're going to be talking about chickens. Show up. If 100 people show up, 99 of them say, we don't want chickens, and one says, well, I really do want chickens, I can't verify that the people on Facebook even live in town. So I've got to go with what the actual physical body embodiment of people who show up to inform the commission say.
If I may piggyback off that, a couple thoughts. So I do agree, and I've heard this from other citizens, and again, I raised chickens growing up. The price of eggs is not the reason to pursue chickens, and here's why. Depending on the breed you purchase, they can take, I believe, anywhere from 16 to 20 weeks, so 4 to 5 months old before they start producing eggs, and even once they start producing, it will not be an everyday thing. And now, mind you, that's the cost of the coop, the feed, the bedding.
If we charge a permit.
Yes.
Or an inspection.
Precisely. And beyond that, even acknowledging the current state of our city infrastructure, I agree our infrastructure is not there, which is why I've proposed that we utilize third-party resources such as the Department of Agriculture, like the City of Manhattan does, so that as we navigate perhaps violations, blight, what have you, we are not straining our shelter. I love our shelter. Miss Gray, love her to death. She does amazing work for our shelter. I don't want to put that on her plate. If I'm putting chicken on her plate, it should be fried with mashed potatoes, point blank, period. I want to create a network. I want to use third-party resources. And additionally, chickens, they are a commitment, much like you said. If you've never heard of coccidiosis, you probably should not be putting chickens in your backyard yet. If you haven't heard of bumblefoot, chickens are like any other animal. They're going to come with problems, and they're not always profitable or beneficial in the way that you may seem. Now, mind you, my childhood, I benefited through character, through responsibility by rearing chickens, but the intention in the pursuit is exactly that. And now, on the other side of that coin, let me speak to the city engagement. Now, this is a pain point that I have heard from citizens in many facets beyond chickens, is many citizens are not engaged because they simply don't have the time or resources, you know. We do have a younger average population here in Junction City.
Yes.
Many of those people are working full-time jobs. They are rearing families. They are pursuing hobbies. They're supporting their children's extracurricular activities. And so 7 p.m. on a Tuesday is not feasible for many of our citizens, which is why they do take to social media. And you are also correct that some of the loudest people on social media do not even hold a Junction City address, so we must discern accordingly. But the message is clear, and that's why I have been doing outreach. I've talked to the shelter. I'm reaching out. I identified 3 cities in the country who had the same average population between 20 and 25,000 citizens who border a military base, as we do, and do have ordinances that allow chickens. Because I think one of the reasons citizens are hesitant to bring chickens to a meeting is it's been brought to the agenda 3 times, and 3 times has been shot down. So that can be a very discouraging experience for citizens where they already don't have the time to pursue this conversation. And through the conversation with those 3 cities, what I've heard is, as far as abandonment goes, chicken abandonment is not as much of a problem the way that it is cats or dogs, because simply put, a laying hen, that's $50 in your hand right there. You're not going to purposefully abandon a chicken because that is cash money dollar in your pocket. And it is true, if your chicken escapes, something's probably going to eat it, which we don't like to happen. We don't want that to happen, but it won't be running amok. The new problem at hand is wildlife interaction, which we are in a vast agriculture and natural area. We're known for our fishing and our hunting and our natural resources. So yes, that I acknowledge that is a risk, that is a threat that we must engage and anticipate. But these are parts of those conversations that I do consider.